This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Parshas Chukas, Moshe Rabbeinu was told in this week's Parsha that he would not be zoicha to go into Eretz Yisrael, Ya'an lo ha'amantem bi lahakdisheni le'nei b'nei Yisrael, because you failed to sanctify my name. Rashi explains, had Moshe Rabbeinu spoken to the rock, the sanctification of Hashem's name would have been that Bnei Yisrael would have made a kal v'chomer, that if a rock, which has no obligation to listen and has no bechira chavshis, listens to the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we all the more so. So the question is, why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What exactly was the cheshbon of Moshe Rabbeinu? Says the Chidushei Harim, quoted in the Sefer Siach Safrei Kodesh, Moshe Rabbeinu had a very simple cheshbon. He knew that had he spoken to the rock, Bnei Yisrael would have had to make a kal v'chomer, should have made a kal v'chomer, should have learned a lesson from a rock, that if a rock listens, they have to listen. And what would have been, had they not listened, then their sin would have been compounded, then their sin would have been magnified. And they would have been in a very precarious and dangerous situation. So like all the great leaders of the Jewish people, Moshe risked his life and risked his future and his ability to go into Eretz Yisrael to protect his people, so that they should not have this kitrug and they should not have this responsibility to have made this kal v'chomer. This idea of the Chidushei Harim, that Moshe Rabbeinu risked his welfare for the benefit of Klal Yisrael, this is not the first time that Moshe Rabbeinu did something like this. Let's give another example. Rabbi Shalom said, Parshas Kisisa, Poiked avoin avois abonim v'albnei banim al shileshim v'al ribeim, that the Rabbi Shalom will visit punishment on children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren for generations. What's the next pasuk? Vayimaher Moshe v'yikoid arza v'yishtachu. Moshe hastened. Says the Ibn Ezra, why did Moshe hasten? Hashem was in the middle of talking. Abanim, Abnei Banim, Al Shlish Rabim, says Ibn Ezra, not like the Reikei Moyach, not like those brainless people, says Ibn Ezra, who say that Moshe hastened because had he not run away, maybe the Rebbeinu Shalom would have said, V'al Chimeshim, V'al Sheishim, the Rebbeinu Shalom may have gone further and further and said that he would visit punishment for many more generations. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, I better get out of here. Says Ibn Ezra, had that been the intention of Moshe Rabbeinu, he would have been moyed b'malchus, chayiv misa, running away in the middle of the Rebbeinu Shalom's conversation. How could Moshe have done such a thing? And yet, look in the Chizkuni. The Chizkuni says that exactly was the kavanah of Moshe Rabbeinu, to run away before the Rebbeinu Shalom would continue and say 5 generations, 6 generations, 7 generations. How could the Chizkuni say such a pshat? The Ibn Ezra has choice words for that pshat. What is the rationale of the explanation of the Chizkuni? Says Chsam Sofer, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that he in fact was risking his life to be so bold and almost, in a way, brazen to run away while Hashem was speaking, but for the benefit of his people, for the sake of Klal Yisrael. He said, you know what, I'm going to take it on the chin. I will take the responsibility if Chas v'Shalom this is not respectful, in order to preserve and give Klal Yisrael more protection so that they should not be visited with punishment for further generations. So similarly, the Chidushei Harim says that was Moshe Rabbeinu's cheshbon here too, for not hitting the rock so as not to be mechayiv and obligate Klal Yisrael to make such a kal v'chomer. Such is the derech of all great leaders of the Jewish people, like Yonah. Yonah did not want to go to Nineveh because if he would have gone to Nineveh, it would have obligated the Jewish people that if the Gentiles listen to prophets, why don't we? This is the derech of the great leaders of the Jewish people who risk their physical and spiritual welfare for the benefit of Klal Yisrael. Ashreinu that we had such great manhigim throughout our history who are megan on us, and the Rebbeinu Shalom in every generation sends great manhigim and great leaders who not only teach us Torah, but are concerned for the welfare of the Jewish people.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.